We had space. And also, that also coincided with a period that we had younger faculty who had undergone training in the department.
It was around that time that I had come back to the department. And the head of department at the time, who was Prof. Sami Saki, asked me to be responsible for these workshops, to be sort of the coordinator for these workshops. We were able to engage with a lot of young people in the sub-region because each workshop we had about 20 to 25 young scientists from Ghana and other African countries. And the conversations we had and their desire to learn and the appetite for such opportunities, that was what drove us to think about how we could make this a permanent presence or a permanent opportunity for young African scientists.
I wrote a grant application designed to obtain more funds to run more of these workshops. My application was not successful, but Gordon, whose vision is much broader than mine, was able to take some of the ideas that we had put into that application and expand them tremendously and significantly into an application that ultimately
The idea about really was a call from the World Bank trying to help higher institutions to set up the thing. So I called Gordon and said, Gordon, I think you should host this.
So basically I came back to the department and I got all my colleagues together, mostly the younger ones who were full of energy and who listened to me because they were younger than me. So I put them together, Patrick, Lydia, Teresa, Osborne, Abidad. There was another lady called Marian Yako. The vice chancellor at the time, Professor Ernest Ayite, was determined to turn the university into a research-intensive university.
WACCBIP first came to my attention when Professor Gordon Wandari approached me about the possibility of creating such a center. And I thought they were very important for the university. I was struck by the fact that he himself was a very young researcher. Most of the people involved with him were equally young. And I was looking for young people at the university to drive change.
An initial $8 million grant from the World Bank and further funds from the Wellcome Trust allowed WACCBIP to build a world-class center adjoining the Department of Biochemistry. Equipped with teaching labs and creating an environment that fosters scientific research and learning. The center runs master's, PhD, and postdoctoral training.
I'm very proud of WACCBIP because it has leveraged on the initial funding of $8 million from the World Bank and attracted more than $50 million US for training of scientists right here in Africa.
WACCBIP's core mandate was around infectious diseases. Now, as we grew over the years, we noticed that non-communicable diseases are also coming up strongly in our part of the world. And so our funding portfolio evolved to starting to apply for grants that were involved in non-communicable diseases. Our ability to evolve with changing research interests over the years, I think, has kept us relevant.
It's been an honor for me and a privilege to help in some small way with that early development, and then to chair WACCBIP's advisory board over these last 10 years. A key success of that teaching of WACCBIP in the early years was the contribution of early career faculty, both from the north and also local faculty from Africa.
The next phase of the center was to consolidate what we had started and then to basically make an impact.
So began an investment into recruiting some of the best African scientific minds to join the center as postdoctoral fellows to conduct research and to teach.
I was looking for opportunities to come back and because I wanted to drive research on the continent.
I was one of many immunologists at my institution in London. I'm one of only a few immunologists in Ghana. So when I think of where I can have impact, if I look back at my life when I retire one day, where can I have the greatest impact? It is in trying to build up the ecosystem back home where we are admittedly, a little bit deficient, versus making a small contribution to an ecosystem that's already well established.
As a geneticist, I was keenly aware of the dearth of genetics research in African people. And what was striking is it's a huge gap in knowledge. And Africans happen to be the most genetically diverse population. After my first postdoc, when I decided I wanted to move back to Ghana, I wanted to work in an area that had a huge impact. I mean, there are practically no genetic studies being conducted here. So I decided to focus on breast cancer, which happens to be the number one leading cancer in the world currently.
The center also focused on deepening its network with other African scientific centers.
Through my collaboration with WACCBIP, I think we've achieved enormous in our science. We've developed lots of talents that are actually beneficial to African institutions, which have also been exported across the world. I think WACCBIP is
scientific centers.
Through my collaboration with WACCBIP, I think we've achieved enormous. We've developed African institutions. Have also been, I think, WACCBIP that do not data that is used for translation for better public health across the continents.
WACCBIP has trained more than 450 graduate students, masters and PhD students, as well as postdoctoral fellows from 19 African countries.
WACCBIP has more than prepared me, and I wouldn't say this because I've just stayed in WACCBIP, but for the fact that WACCBIP has given me the opportunity to go rub shoulders with my colleagues in other countries, and I'm willing to and I'm ready to take up any challenge anywhere.
The PhD training I had here was holistic, and indeed it has helped me gain that confidence and also to find solutions to problems.
The teaching environment at WACCBIP was quite unique. I found that management usually would invite visiting lecturers from either other institutions or outside the country to come in and teach us, and then teach us the practical ways of doing research and then thinking about problems to solve it through research. So
the fellowship that we were getting was about developing leaders in science, not just about training PhD students, but also building leaders for the next generation, or at least future scientists, future science leaders in Africa.
The opportunity to deepen the center's impact presented itself during the COVID-19 pandemic. WACCBIP had the right scientists and infrastructure in place to lead the science that informed the government of Ghana's policy response.
WACCBIP did play a very central role in our response.
We were able to have a strong impact and mobilize the teams to respond first for testing and then for doing the research that we're doing now.
One of the critical areas WACCBIP did excel was in the research, in the genomic sequencing and in the seroprevalence studies. And this really helped us not just to map out where the diseases are, but which variants we were dealing with, and especially when we started easing restriction.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, our researchers here, using the high-performance computing system, were able to assemble the genome of the virus, and as a result of that, gain a lot of insight into its transmission, subtypes, variation, and possible mutation.
Most of the work that is conducted at the center is at a molecular level. If you have a blunt cutlass, you don't think you can cut down a bigger tree. It's just the shrubs you can. But if you have a sharp cutlass, which is also basically the tools that we have, then we can confront bigger and higher molecular kind of questions and address them.
We have a tradition that we say in the center known as the WACCBIP machinery, and that comprises of a group of people who believe in a common goal and who are determined to make sure that they achieve excellence at everything that they do, whether it is research, whether it's training or teaching, and then the entire back end that nobody gets to see. Really teamwork under very diligent leadership that makes us achieve the excellence that we are known for.
I love working at WACCBIP because the leadership of WACCBIP identifies young talent and then give them opportunity to grow. I've been here 10 years because I believe that I've had opportunities that I wouldn't have had elsewhere.
We have created innovative and engaging ways of interacting with communities that we work with. We conduct and engage our communities in outreaches, schools engagement activities, and a whole lot of activities that make science fun and exciting for the public.
WACCBIP has demonstrated that it is possible for us to remain in Africa and produce high quality scientists.
I think its focus is on two things. One, doing the research, but also developing the researchers of the future. And that is where I think WACCBIP has a special strength, focusing on developing the researchers of the future.
We are training all these young people, but where are they going to work? If you look in the US or in Europe, majority of PhD graduates don't stay in academia. They go into industry, they go into a variety of jobs.
In Ghana and in fact most of West Africa, we don't have a biotech sector. We have some pharmaceutical companies, but most of them just do manufacturing. Because of that gap, many of the things that we've done have gotten to a dead end because the uptake is not there. And so we are trying to push for that next level.
We also need to build the ecosystem here of a biotech. So we have a program which is a biotech entrepreneurship program. And the idea is that now we are going to be seeding people who not just have the ideas, but they will try to do some startups. Of course,
the idea of building private sector-based research to complement the academic research that is being built at centers like WACCBIP, I think is a natural evolution of the development of the center. WACCBIP's goal is to train and seed science around the continent. What better way to seed it than through private companies that do the work like what we do here?
The next phase is on the shoulders of the next generation, the younger scientists that we brought here. Very talented group of people.
Happy 10 years, WACCBIP.
Happy 10 years, WACCBIP.
Happy 10th anniversary, WACCBIP.
Happy 10 years to WACCBIP.
Happy 10 years, WACCBIP.
happy, glorious, and illustrious 10th anniversary, WACCBIP.
Happy 10th anniversary, WACCBIP.
Many congratulations to everybody involved in the WACCBIP story.
WACCBIP came out of the energy of many young people in the department at the time.
WACCBIP's excellence really stems from teamwork.
We are at the cutting edge of technology.
We make excellence the bar for training at WACCBIP.
We believe in excellence in teaching and excellence in research.
To do high quality science, to be able to publish and to make an influence in the scientific world.
The West African Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, WACCBIP, began in 2014 as one of the World Bank African Centers of Excellence, located in the University of Ghana, Legon. In 10 years, it has grown into a leading center for the training of the next generation of African scientists and is spearheading groundbreaking research into infectious diseases, genetics research, and research into non-communicable diseases like cancer. Equipped with advanced technology platforms and state-of-the-art laboratories, WACCBIP provides fertile ground for exploration and discovery.
The main impetus for the center came from some workshops that we used to do with the American Society for Cell Biology.
It was my honor and pleasure to be part of a group of cell biologists who obtained funding around 2006 for short courses on the cell biology of African diseases.
This was long before WACCBIP was even a dream, and the workshop was hosted at the old Department of Biochemistry, which exists down the road from where WACCBIP currently stands.
In 2010, with our move to this building, we had space, and also that also coincided with a period that we had younger faculty who had undergone training in the department.
It was around that time that I had come back to the department, and the head of department at the time, who was Prof. Sami Saki, asked me to be responsible for these workshops, to be sort of the coordinator for these workshops. We were able to engage with a lot of young people in the sub-region, because each workshop we had about 20 to 25 young scientists from Ghana and other African countries. And the conversations we had and their desire to learn and the appetite for such opportunities, that was what drove us to think about how we could make this a permanent presence or a permanent opportunity for young African scientists.
I wrote a grant application designed to obtain more funds to run more of these workshops. My application was not successful, but Gordon, whose vision is much broader than mine, was able to take some of the ideas that we had put into that application and expand them tremendously and significantly into an application that ultimately was submitted to the World Bank, and many of you know was successful.
The idea about WACCBIP really was a call from the World Bank trying to help higher institutions to set up living. So I called Gordon and said, Gordon, I think you should host this.
So basically I came back to the department and I got all my colleagues together, mostly the younger ones who were full of energy and who listened to me because they were younger than me. So I put them together, Patrick, Lydia, Teresa, Osborne, Abidad. There was another lady called Marian Yako. The Vice Chancellor at the time, Professor Ernest Aite, was determined to turn the university into a research-intensive university.
WACCBIP first came to my attention when Professor Gordon Wandari approached me about the possibility of creating such a center. And I thought they were very important for the university. I was struck by the fact that he himself was a very young researcher. Most of the people involved with him were equally young. And I was looking for young people at the university to drive change.
An initial $8 million grant from the World Bank and further funds from the Wellcome Trust allowed WACCBIP to build a world-class center adjoining the Department of Biochemistry. Equipped with teaching labs and creating an environment that fosters scientific research and learning. The center runs master's, PhD, and postdoctoral training.
I'm very proud of WACCBIP because it has leveraged on the initial funding of $8 million from the World Bank and attracted more than $50 million for training of scientists right here in Africa.
WACCBIP's core mandate was...
Hello. Good morning to everyone. It's my singular honor to welcome you to the WACCBIP Research Conference 2025.
It follows right on the heels of our wonderful 10th anniversary celebration, which was last year. This year we have a 3-day conference planned for you, where we are very happy to showcase the talent that we've been able to train here at WACCBIP. I'm very pleased that you are all here on time. Pardon us for starting 15 minutes out of schedule, but we hope that everything would go smoothly from here on. I would like to briefly just draw attention to some housekeeping details. So you are seated in the WACCBIP conference room right now. We do have an overflow because, as usual, we are always packed to the hilt. And so we'll try as much as possible to make sure that everything works well. I have just been hinted by my deputy that I didn't even introduce myself. So my name is Lydia Mosi. I work here at the Department of Biochemistry, Cell and Molecular Biology, and I'm also the Deputy Director in charge of administration at WACCBIP. So we've been doing this for 9 years. This is the 9th edition of the research conference, and we are really happy that you all could join us. My co-deputy would come and give us some more detail about the actual scientific meat of the conference, but just to set the tone, we have my co-deputy would come and give us some more detail about the actual scientific meat.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Peter Kwashi. I'm the Deputy Director with responsibility for research. And for this conference, I was the chair of the scientific committee. And the theme for this year's conference is Evolving African Science from Capacity Building to Discovery and Impact. And this is building on last year, we had 10 years anniversary, and we basically consolidated the capacity that we've built over the last 10 years. And this is sort of pointing forward to the future. We have a very, my boss likes to call a festival of science. We have a very packed schedule for you, but it's very light, and it's, I think everybody will be able to follow over the 3 days. We have excellent keynote speakers, Dr. Emma Wall, Professor George Boateng-Che, and Dr. Yao Bediako. And these were all selected because we feel that the message that they're going to share is in line with our mission and vision, and particularly our day forward. We also have a panel discussion tomorrow, which will be amongst Dr. Soji Tete, who is the CEO of the National Vaccine Institute, Dr. Kelsey Amam, former program manager of the National Malaria Elimination Program, and Dr. Yao Bediako, who is the CEO of Yamachi Biotech and also a WACCBIP research fellow. And we believe that this will also galvanize the impact that we want. And the title of that panel discussion will be From Basic Science to Public Health Impact. This year we have 626 registered participants for the conference, and that's both online and in person. And we have 3 keynote speakers, 1 panel discussion, 14 plenary presentations, 18 fellows oral presentations, and 104 scientific posters. We also have, I think we also have a side meeting towards the end of today, which is a GISA side meeting. GISA stands for Global Immunology and Immune Sequencing for Epidemic Response. And the first half of that side meeting, which will coincide with the last session for the day, will be closed, followed by an open session which will really focus on research priorities going forward and how to bring climate change into molecular science research. I'd like to say that this scientific program was not shaped by myself alone. I had 14 other colleagues and 2 co-secretaries who really helped outside the meetings, Dr. Chirawura and Miss Lady Baba, who really helped us to put this together. So I'm hopeful, and I'm expecting that you will enjoy this next 3 years. 3 days. So I'd like to hand over to my boss to take us forward. Okay, so I'd like to invite the high table, starting with Pro VC Research, Innovation and Development, Professor Felix Ansanti. The chair of Ghana Academy of Arts, president of Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, Professor Isabella Kwachi. Our provost, Professor Sandal Mark Yidana. And our platinum sponsors, from the Science for Africa Foundation, Dr. Fatou Bandian, from GIZ, Dr. Victor Siebert, and from LabMart, Mr. Richard Atule. I think he's not here yet. I hand over to my boss, Professor Gordon Awandari, to take us forward.
Good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here once again, the 9th in the series of WACCBIP research conferences. As you know, we started this way back in 2016 when we realized that we had reached critical mass in terms of the research output that was coming out of our fellows or trainees in the program. And we felt that we needed a forum on which the fellows would share their research, build partnerships, and engage with policymakers. So that gave birth to this conference in 2016. The first one was held at the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, and subsequently we have done one at ISE, and then when this conference room was ready, we started having them here. Somebody whispered to me that the room is too small now, so Provost, maybe we need to add a floor. Anyway, the Pro-Vice Chancellor, my colleague, Professor Felix Ansanti, who is here in his own capacity as the man responsible for research in the university, but also representing the Vice Chancellor, who couldn't be here because she had to travel. The Provost of the College of Basic and Applied Sciences, which is the college under which WACCBIP sits. Members of our advisory board, I see our advisory board chair, Professor Kekdauch, is sitting here. Other members of the advisory board who are present. Our distinguished stakeholders who are joining us on the high table, led by the Emerita Professor Isabella Kwachi, who everybody knows as one of the giants of science in Ghana, and who is the president of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. I also want to recognize the chairman of the Ghana Health Service Board, who is here with us, Professor Binka. Is it Ghana Health Service or? Yes, Ghana Health Service Board. Professor Fred Binka, who many of you know is a big supporter of WACCBIP and anything to do with promotion of science and young people in Ghana. He's a big champion for us. So Prof. Vinka, thank you for being here. We have Provost here. Those of you who are not familiar with the university structure, we have a Vice Chancellor. We have 2 Pro-Vice Chancellors, of which I'm one. We're the only university in Ghana with 2 Pro-Vice Chancellors. And then we have 4 Provosts who are heads of the academic divisions of the university, which we call colleges. So we have 4 of them. I think I see all of them here. Yes. Where's Prof. Kujo? Prof. Kujo, please come forward. So Prof. Kujo is the Dean of the Provost. By the way, that's a position I created. I created it 3 years ago when I became Pro-Vice Chancellor, and I realized that we have 4 provosts who work with us, and we needed one of them to be their leader. So the most senior one, I decided to confer on them the title of Dean of Provost. So we had Professor Ofori, who was the first and the inaugural Dean of Provost, and then now we have Prof. Kujo, who's the most senior of the Provost. He's joined by, of course, our Provost is here, who have acknowledged our Provost, Prof. Hidana. Then we have Prof. Yaro, who's the Provost of the College of Humanities. It's the biggest college in the university. About 2/3 of the students are in that college. And then we have the Provost of the College of Health Sciences, Professor Yosu. Not a big college, but a very powerful college because they have the medical school, they have Noguchi, they have School of Public Health, they have giant units. So it's a very powerful provost. Then we have deans and directors here. Many deans and directors. I see the director of Noguchi, director of School of Public Health, dean of engineering, director of director of Public Affairs Directorate, dean of the University of Ghana Business School, another powerful unit. I see director of finance. I see dean of School of Biological Sciences. I see dean of Physical and Mathematical Sciences. Yeah, so let's say the entire university top brass is here. So we are very honored, yeah. I see heads of department, I see many colleagues here. I think our students are in the overflow room. I don't see a lot of students, right? So we have an overflow room where they are watching on screen because we don't have enough space. So the students are in another room, but we see you, students, we recognize you. Friends from the media are here. Thank you for being here. Then I want to welcome our collaborators who are here. One of the highlights of this conference is always having all our collaborators come from across the world to join us for this conference and to share their work as well. Also listen to our students and provide scientific advice and input to their work, and have some beers with us as well, which is also very important, right? Right? I thought I would get some appreciation for having beers. It's very important. It's a critical part of scientific networking. You know the ideas that come from beer bars when scientists meet. Anyway, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for taking the time to be here. I have a few messages which I want to highlight. First is that we are gathering here at a time of global uncertainty when it comes to promotion of science and funding for science. mainly due to a change of government in the US, which has led to some upheaval in the funding community. So we all know people who have lost their grants, whose grant proposals were not even reviewed and just trashed, and whose grants are currently at risk of being cancelled. So we want to express solidarity with all colleagues who have been impacted by the current crisis. We hope that there will be a resolution soon. We hope that sanity will prevail. We hope that good sense will take over at some point, and then we would restore some sense of responsibility when it comes to support for science and research globally. At WACCBIP, we are fortunate that we have not yet been severely impacted, largely because at this particular time, we don't have a lot of funding from the US government. We have a lot of support from other places, but currently, we don't have a lot of support from the US government, so we have not been as severely impacted. But nonetheless, the risk is there that the collateral damage that this is causing to other funding sources would obviously impact us as we go forward. On the other hand, we think that this current crisis is a reminder to African governments that they need to step up. They've been promising for a long time. We all remember the infamous declaration that all African governments would commit to spending at least 1% of their GDP on research. And we know that less than 10 African countries have done this, which is really disappointing and quite abysmal. So this is really the time for them to step up. So we are really calling on African governments that let's take advantage of this current situation to really put our houses in order and reprioritize government expenditure to support science and research. I mean, I don't need to convince anybody that all nations that have developed, quickly, that development has been led by science and innovation. And whilst the returns are not usually immediate as politicians would like it, the returns are quite guaranteed if you put the investment in there. And we hope that our governments are listening and would recommit to this particular responsibility. Here in Ghana, it's interesting times because I think for the past 5 years or so, every time I've stood here to invite you, to welcome you for this conference, I've called on the government to implement the National Research Fund. If you all remember, every year I do it. And when I finish here and media come to me, I talk about it. So it's something I've been talking about. Anytime I get minutes on radio or TV, I talk about it. So it is our responsibility to acknowledge that the current president has taken steps to implement the Ghana Research Fund Act. So we want to acknowledge that, and I want the media to let them hear that we've been complaining for a long time, and we have seen signs that it's going to happen. So we want to acknowledge the signs that there are signs, but so could stop. But at least let's acknowledge that steps have been taken. They've constituted a board, which is actually chaired by one of our friends within the University of Ghana, Prof. Dankwa. So it's good. It's a good sign that this is a serious effort. So we want to acknowledge that progress. We also have heard that there's a Ghana Scholarships Bill, and I haven't seen it because Unfortunately, they didn't consult the universities as far as I'm concerned. But from what I'm hearing, they are also listening to what we've been saying over the years, which is that in 2025, there's no need for Ghana to be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for our students to go and study in all kinds of universities, some of which are not better than University of Ghana or KNUST or UCC or, Accession or whatever. It doesn't make any sense. And where still the process has been corrupted and it's led to political favoritism and all that, it's pointless. So we've been calling for those funds to be re-channeled to the universities who have better systems for identifying good students and needy students so that we disperse those funds. So if the government will commit to giving each university a certain number of scholarships and allow us to use our systems to identify the students who are best placed to benefit from those, that would be good. So we hope that the new bill that is being that is going through Parliament will take some of these suggestions on board. And I've heard some of the government officials talk about these things. So we hope that they've listened to some of the things that we've said. Related to that is the World Bank African Centers of Excellence project. As you know, WACCBIP was born out of that project. Our first funding came from the World Bank African Centers of Excellence. Now, that project is 10 years old now. We have had 2 rounds of funding from it. But currently, it is ended. But that is not the worrying thing. The worrying thing is that the funds that were committed to the centers in Ghana have not been fully disbursed. And we want to draw the attention of government, the Minister for Education, the Minister for Finance, that those funds that were committed to the centers, for which the centers have incurred expenditure and are waiting to be reimbursed, we think that it will be, it will be a travesty for those funds not to be released. So we think that the government should take urgent steps to release those funds to allow the centers to continue to operate. That is related to the scholarship issue because if you know the entire principle of the World Bank African Centers of Excellence, it was meant to build local capacity to provide training in certain areas that governments deem are needed for national development. So, a lot of the basic sciences and some of the applied sciences as well, engineering, biochemistry and cell biology, water and sanitation, crop improvement, and so on and so forth. So these were meant to build local capacity to provide regional training for this. So if you have these centers here that governments have spent millions and billions of dollars through the World Bank funding to establish and to build up to this point. Now the World Bank project is ending. It is incumbent on governments to continue to support these centers so that the investment doesn't just go to waste. Okay? And one of the ways to do that is to, again, think about all these scholarships that we give to people to go overseas. Now you don't need to give people scholarships to go and do cell biology, a PhD in cell biology at Harvard or at London School or Cambridge. They can do it right here at WACCBIP, right? So, and it will cost you a fraction of how much it will cost. So we are appealing to the government that these centers should be continuously supported and strengthened, and scholarships be directed to the centers, because that's the purpose for which the centers were established in the first place. So if the centers are now at the stage where they've built a capacity to train people, and then we don't send people there and sponsor them to be trained, then we have just thrown the public's money down the drain. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to keep talking. We have other colleagues who need to talk. But those are a few thoughts that I wanted to share with you. Once again, you are most welcome to WACCBIP and to this year's research conference. I think it will be an exciting 3 days. And so let's go. Thank you. think you can acknowledge those have it. Okay. All right. So before I take my seat, I want to introduce the chair for this morning's program. And the chair is no other than my colleague, the Pro Vice Chancellor responsible for research, innovation, and development here at the University of Ghana, who is here representing the Vice Chancellor of this great University of Ghana, which is the nation's hope and glory, which is Ghana's premier and best university. Thank you.
The Pro Vice Chancellor responsible for academic and student affairs and founding director of the West African Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, provost of colleges present, advisory board members of WACCBIP, deans and heads of department, distinguished guests, esteemed scientists and scholars, partners and collaborators, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. You are welcome to the University of Ghana. It is with great honor and deep appreciation that I join you this morning to open the 9th WACCBIP Research Conference, an event that has grown into one of the most anticipated scientific gatherings on our continent. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, who is currently out of the country on an official duty, I'm proud to chair this opening session of a conference that stands as a hallmark of African scientific excellence and a clear reflection of the university's research ambitions. This year's theme, Evolving African Science from Capacity Building to Discovery and Impact, beautifully encapsulates not just WACCBIP's journey, but the journey of African research institutions striving to chart their own path by their own expertise, guided by their own priorities, and shaped by their own impact. In the past decade, the West African Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, WACCBIP, has become a symbol of what visionary leadership, consistent investment, and strategic collaboration can achieve. It has emerged not only as a center of scientific excellence, but as a trusted and capable partner in the fight against infectious and non-communicable diseases, in strengthening genomics research, and in training the next generation of biomedical scientists for Africa. From humble beginnings, WACCBIP has grown into a networked institution, home of world-class facilities, outstanding faculty, and brilliant young minds who are changing the global research landscape. And significantly, it has done so with Africa at the center, not at the margins. Today, as we gather in this conference hall, we celebrate the research breakthroughs made by WACCBIP students, research fellows, and faculty. Breakthroughs that are not confined to the pages of journals, but are actively informing public health responses, shaping clinical care, and transforming communities across Ghana and beyond. WACCBIP's impact extends far beyond its own walls. It plays a strategic and central role in advancing the University of Ghana's vision to become a world-class research-intensive university. As outlined in our strategic plan, one of our core priorities, strategic priority 2, is to conduct impactful research that addresses national and global development challenges. WACCBIP is not only aligned with this priority, but also embodies it. Through its work, the center has significantly contributed to the following. 1, elevating the university's research visibility on the global stage. 2, attracting competitive international research funding. 3, forging sustainable partnership with world-class institutions. 4, publishing high-impact research in frontier fields such as genomics, drug resistance, and immunology. And 5, cultivating a pipeline of exceptional African scientists who are both competent and confident to lead from the front. This is what impactful research looks like. This is how a center of excellence helps shape institutional transformation. The recently released Times Higher Education Interdisciplinary Science Rankings ranked University of Ghana first in Ghana, second in West Africa, and 187th in the world out of 700 universities. This recognition confirms University of Ghana's growing footprint and commitment to solving complex societal challenges through innovative and cross-disciplinary research. This success story cannot be told without mentioning the impact of centers like WACCBIP. Our commitment to impactful research cannot be achieved in isolation. It thrives on collaboration. Collaboration between academic and industry, between universities and governments, and between African institutions and their global counterparts. I'm pleased that this conference will again serve as a convening platform for such important dialogue. The diversity of perspectives in this room, from senior researchers and policymakers to early career scientists and community health leaders, reminds us that science must not be siloed. It must be shared, communicated, and translated into solutions that reach the people who need them most. In this regard, WACCBIP's model to bring together education, research, innovation, and community engagement is one that the entire continent can learn from. As we look towards the future, we must deepen our commitment to supporting centers like WACCBIP. We must invest not just in buildings and laboratories, but in people. We must champion African-led research that responds to Africa's health priorities. And we must continue to create pathways for our students, who are our future leaders, to dream, to discover, and to make a difference. To the entire WACCBIP team, let me offer my heartfelt congratulations and thanks. Your work exemplifies what is possible when excellence meets opportunity. To our international partners and donors, your belief in African science and in WACCBIP has been instrumental in this journey. We look forward to building on this partnership in the years ahead. To all conference participants, I encourage you to take full advantage of this platform. Ask questions, share your research, challenge assumptions, and find new collaborators. In conclusion, let this conference be not just an exchange of knowledge, but a celebration of possibilities. Let it reaffirm our commitment to research that saves lives, research that builds futures, and research that tells the world Africa is not waiting for solutions. We are creating them. Once again, I warmly welcome you to the University of Ghana and declare the 9th WACCBIP Research Conference officially open. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for that wonderful opening remark. Next on our program is remarks from some of our key stakeholders. But before that, we've still been joined by some people from the university and special invited guests. So I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Professor Peter Quartey. Thank you for joining us. Also, Professor Rosina Chomanting, Dean of Students, thank you for joining us. I believe Prof. Dankwa is also in the room somewhere. Yeah. The grandfather of the ACEs. Thank you so much. I've also seen Prof. Baoli. Thank you for joining us. If you look around the room, you see that we are all very nicely clad in our WACCBIP cloths. Today we are branding seriously, and we are wearing, we call it gold, but I don't know whether it's gold or peach, but we are, okay. So if you are so inspired to join us in our branding on Friday, where WACCBIP goes blue, we still have some of the cloth on sale, and we already have sewn shirts and very easy flowing dresses for females who want to still change today and wear the gold. So please don't forget that. I also want to acknowledge the people who have helped with the logistical planning of this conference. As Peter rightfully said, everything is in-house. The scientific committee was done by people who are here and not experts who have been hired and paid money to do this. Additionally, the logistics of the conference has been done by just us here. And the director likes to call us the WACCBIP machinery because each year we deliver, and we like to applaud all of them. If you join me, let me know. Okay, so I would like to call on the first person to give us our remarks. It's my honor to call the Provost of the College of Basic and Applied Sciences, Professor Sando Mark Yidana, to give his remarks.
All right, thank you and welcome. All right, Mr. Chairman and founding director of WACCBIP and Pro-VC in charge of academic and student affairs, my colleague provost from the other colleges, president of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, members of the WACCBIP International Advisory Board, deans, directors, heads of departments, representatives of government ministries, departments, and agencies, colleagues from partner universities from home and abroad, esteemed researchers, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the College of Basic and Applied Sciences. My privilege to welcome you, and a great pleasure to especially welcome you once again to the WACCBIP International Conference, this year's edition. This gathering is yet an opportunity to showcase what we have been doing over the years, cutting-edge research, the findings that have been discovered, both in the laboratory and in the field. It also presents an opportunity for interactions and fruitful deliberations on research gaps that remain unfilled and which require collaborative efforts to mobilize resources, especially now, for further research. At the College of Basic and Applied Sciences, we are indeed privileged to host such a vast array of expertise within our space. It is indeed an honor for me to stand before you and to welcome such a vast array of expertise. I've been told that we have over 600 participants from all over the world. That is indeed an achievement. WACCBIP, congratulations. We believe that the presentations at this conference will serve as an opportunity to nurture businesses and also create other research collaborative efforts that will transform the landscape of infectious disease treatment and management all over the world. As we celebrate the outcomes of funded scientific research, we are throwing the spotlight on the relevance of research funding and the need to increase funding support for interdisciplinary research. The world is confronted with myriads of challenges that are associated with the pressure of rising populations and climate change. These challenges can only be addressed through cutting-edge research, which requires substantial funding. Research in science is not a small game. For those of you who are coming from the media, our colleagues are doing a lot, mobilizing resources from all over the world, competing with partners. We can do better as a government to provide more funding. I am particularly urging the government of Ghana and other African countries to invest more on research, as the continent is in dire need of solutions to basic challenges which confront and threaten the survival of the human race. The status quo in terms of research funding is no longer sustainable. Centers of excellence such as WACCBIP have demonstrated over and over again that given limited resources, so much knowledge and transformative products can be generated to add value to the quality of life and drastically reduce the burden of diseases. Mr. Chairman, the conference and associated activities address almost all the strategic priorities of the university's strategic plan for the next 5 years. First, the conference creates an opportunity for our students to network and build relationships to chart fruitful career paths. And this is an integral aspect of the transformative student experience envisaged in the first strategic priority of the university. In addition, as you know, the central focus of this is to exhibit findings of cutting-edge research, and this is central to the second strategic priority. It is also an avenue for engagement and partnerships for further research and innovations. We are partnering because we are gathering a host of researchers from all over the world, so we are creating an avenue for partnership for further research. Our faculty, moreover, are engaging with others from all over the world, and that creates opportunities for them to build on their knowledge and to be able to serve the university better. Moreover, we know that after such a conference, there are opportunities to mobilize resources. So you see that almost all our strategic priorities will be addressed by the end of this. Mr. Chairman, permit me to provide a brief description of what we do at the College of Basic and Applied Sciences. I want to brag a little bit about our college. One of the best colleges anywhere in any tertiary institution in the world. No, we have the evidence. I have the evidence, and I'll prove to you in a very few minutes. Our college, for instance, is the only college in this university hosting 2 of the World Bank's Centers of Excellence. And I'm proud to report that WACCBIP is an outstanding member of such, and we are very proud of the resources that have been mobilized over the years, the relationships that have been built, and how the entire university have benefited from the expertise of these collaborations. We are so proud of WACCBIP. The other center of excellence that is part of this group is the West Africa Center for Crop Improvement, and founded by my senior, Prof. Dankwa here. Prof. Dankwa, I went to WACCBIP the other time, and I was amazed to see what I saw. You know, I didn't believe, you know, I was in this university, and I never saw what you have been able to mobilize over the years. In addition to the equipment that these centers have mobilized, they have trained so many people. And in any institution related to what they do, when you go there, you find imprints of what they have done. So we are very proud. Over this very short period, the impact has been very, very, very heavy. Thank you very much, WACCBIP, and thank you, WACCBIP, for what you have done. You have made us indeed very proud. Now, we have proven through these centers that given the needed resources, our scientists are as good as scientists at any research-intensive university anywhere in the world. The college also consists of 6 colleges. We have the college, six schools. We have the School of Agriculture, we have the School of Biological Sciences, we have the School of Engineering Sciences, we have the School of Physical and Mathematical Sciences, School of Veterinary Medicine, Graduate School of Nuclear and Allied Sciences, which is off campus, and they are doing very many interesting things, some of which are related to what WACCBIP is doing. We have 4 centers, and the 4 centers include the 2 centers of excellence I mentioned. The other centers include the Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, and then we have the Biotechnology Center. We also have 1 institute. We have the Institute for the Environment and Sanitation Studies, and then apart from that, under the School of Agriculture, we have 3 focused research centers. We call them also research centers. They are focused, one of them is focused on livestock and poultry research. We call it LIPRIC, Livestock and Poultry Research Center. We have one on forestry and horticultural crop research. That is FOCREC. And then we have one on soil and irrigation research, which is we call CIRIC. So all these are outside of campus, and they are strategically located in areas that their impact will be most relevant. Through these research centers, we have created avenues to promote research, cutting-edge research, and we are open for collaboration to drive more research in those areas. As we celebrate research at this conference, we'll welcome more collaborations for faculty and staff exchange, as well as cutting-edge research. Please make an effort to visit our various units, and I'm sure that you are going to be amazed at what you will see. And you will be more interested in collaborating with us for research, even outside of what we are doing here. I believe that our staff, our very friendly staff, will welcome you to their units and open up to engage you even more. On this note, and on behalf of the management of the College of Basic and Applied Sciences, I wish you all the best as you deliberate, and I want to welcome WACCBIP and the team once again for putting this together. Thank you very much. Pro VC forgot to mention one thing. Yesterday, I received some visitors, and all of them, they had their rules from here except one. So, and the other one who didn't have his rule, he said he went to KNUST. So I reminded him that University of Ghana is the only one that has been given accreditation to train presidents. So I told him, if you ever want to be president of Ghana, Prof, why are you looking at me like that? So if you want to be president of Ghana and you have not had any degree from here, we run short courses and special programs. So enroll. And somebody should tell the former vice president. So enroll on any of the programs at business school or in order to qualify. So once you do that, our vice chancellor will mark you correct. So that next time. So on this note, welcome again.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that is our landlord's welcome to WACCBIP's research conference. Thank you so much. Please, if your car number is GN 4138-11, your windows are open. Please attend to your car. Right on the heels of the provost's remarks, he made two key statements on the internationalization of WACCBIP, as well as the training capacity and how many students we've been able to train. And I don't think we would have been able to do this without the faculty at the Department of Biochemistry, Cell and Molecular Biology, the faculty of WACCBIP, the faculty, or should I say our sister faculty at Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, and also faculty from Biomedical Engineering in the School of Engineering Sciences. So please, I'd like us to acknowledge all of these faculty. Thank you, who have tirelessly trained close to 400 graduate students in 10 years. We couldn't also have done this without support from UGCS, now ITD. They have hosted our high-performance computing system, and they continue to provide us with a lot of support. Now, next to give us remarks, it is again my singular honor to invite this pioneering woman of science, who is currently serving in capacity as the president of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, Emerita Professor Isabella Kwache, to give us some remarks.
Chairperson, my very own Pro VC ASA, Pro VC ORIT, all the provosts, distinguished guests, esteemed researchers, scholars, friends of science, and let me just stand on existing protocols established. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Now, it is a great privilege to be part of this gathering at the 9th WACCBIP Research Conference. Indeed, it is a joy for me to be here today. I was part of the birth of WACCBIP over a decade ago, believe it or not. And like a proud mother, I relish your extraordinary achievements. Your research forum continues to shine powerful light on Africa's growing research capacity, our shared intellectual resilience, and the promise of scientific excellence rooted in the continent. Now I extend my heartfelt congratulations to the one and only West African Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, WACCBIP, and this is from the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, and then on my own behalf, for yet another successful convening. Now, WACCBIP has not only raised the standard of scientific inquiry in Africa, but it has created a space where mentorship, collaboration, and innovation thrive across generations. The theme of this year's conference, Evolving African Science from Capacity to Discovery and Impact, is not just timely, it is transformational. It captures a journey we must all commit to, one that begins with strategic investment in people and systems, matures through the pursuit of new knowledge, and culminates in tangible improvements of health, policy, and prosperity. Capacity is not just a buzzword, it is the foundation. Over the last decade, African institutions like WACCBIP have focused on building robust training programs, laboratories, and networks. We are witnessing a generation of African scientists who are not just participating in global sciences, they are leading it. But capacity is only the beginning. Discovery is where our efforts meet purpose. From genomics to vaccine research, African-led research is unearthing solutions that are not only globally relevant, but locally grounded. We are showing the world that the next scientific breakthroughs can and will emerge from Africa, Accra, Nairobi, Dakar, and beyond. And finally, impact. Yes, because science that does not touch lives is incomplete. The work being presented at this conference has implications for how governments craft policy, how communities respond to epidemics, and how we train the next generation. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that our discoveries translate into improved health outcomes, economic growth, and empowerment for our people. As we reflect on this evolution, from capacity to discovery to impact, let us also renew our solidarity. Solidarity with young scientists seeking opportunities, solidarity with institutions fighting to retain talent, solidarity with every African researcher rewriting the narrative of science in Africa, not as recipients of knowledge, but as producers, leaders, and change makers. Let us champion a science that is ethical, inclusive, and unapologetically African. Let us invest more in ourselves and trust in our ability to solve our own problems. Let us build research ecosystems that do not just survive on donor aid, but thrive on continental commitments and global respect. In closing, I want to congratulate WACCBIP, the team, its partners, alumni, and the many students and fellows here today. Your work is shaping a future where African science is not on the sidelines, but at the center of global innovation. Let me now borrow some words from the first president of the nation, President Kwame Nkrumah, who saw the need to establish and inaugurate the Ghana Academy of Learning in November 27, 1959, which evolved in the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. It's the second oldest academy on the African continent, the first being Madagascar. President Nkrumah in 1956 looked to science, technology, and knowledge as in November 27, 1959, which evolved in the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. It's the African continent. In 1956, science as if he were as proud as Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences is proud of you, of your remarkable achievements. Now I quote his resounding words, that the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked with the total liberation of the African continent. In the same spirit, the capacity we build today must be linked to the scientific liberation and leadership of the entire continent. I thank you, and I wish you a productive and inspiring conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Emerita. So now we have some presentations from some of our platinum partners. And I'll call up first off from GIZ Ghana, Victor Siebert. I don't know, do you have a presentation? You don't have slides.
No. Thank you. Thank you. Pro-Vice Chancellor, Provost, and before I came here, I noted down some names I should acknowledge, but after listening to Prof. Vandare, I realized I have to acknowledge you all, because we have so many distinguished guests here, and authorities from the university, professors, researchers, and the students, of course, so I acknowledge you all in your respective rank and capacity. For us at GIZ, we are very honored and privileged to partner with WACCBIP around this conference, but also in other activities. And also other research institutions here in Ghana, because our mandate here is to work with stakeholders on strengthening the ecosystem for the pharmaceutical manufacturing industry. And R&D, research and development, is really a critical factor in this regard. So we are very pleased that together with WACCBIP and other institutions, we can work on various projects. I want to mention two main aspects of our work here that we implement on behalf of the European Union and the German government. The first one is to promote partnerships between academia and industry. So we are financing various, or we will be financing various research projects that are jointly implemented by Ghanaian research institutions and by Ghanaian pharmaceutical manufacturers in order to foster the collaboration between these two spheres and to really create local innovation that will help address health challenges here in Ghana and across the region. So we put out a call for proposals together with our partner, the National Vaccine Institute, and we received a lot of very interesting proposals, more than 40, I think. They're currently being evaluated by a panel of distinguished Ghanaian experts. I think some of them are even in the room today. And we're looking forward to announcing which partnerships will be funded through this call for proposal. And we really hope this drives Ghanaian stakeholders to work on very concrete R&D projects that can translate into then also commercially viable products for our populations. And then the second focus that we have, so the first one is more on local collaboration, and the second focus that we have is promoting international research collaboration, so joining Ghanaian research institutions and international research bodies. One of the partnerships we have already launched is between the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research and the Charité Medical Center in Berlin on preclinical vaccine development. And we're looking forward to supporting further partnerships. So if you have any ideas, feel free to contact me. And research gatherings, conferences like this one today are also very key in this dimension of international collaboration, because the exchange of ideas, seeing what other researchers are doing will be very fruitful and be the ground for further partnerships. So we're happy to support WACCBIP in this event. I think the theme of today's event is very, very, very relevant in the sense of discovery and impact really being the two sides that need to be addressed for research to be relevant to today's challenges. And we particularly laud WACCBIP's missions of combining cutting-edge research with training and motivating the future generations of researchers who will really shape the agenda going forward. So I think we have a really interesting agenda. I wish you all fruitful discussions and networking, and I'm sure this will be a very impactful event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor. Victor is a component manager for the Farm Plus program, which is funded by the European Union and BMZ from Germany. I'd like to welcome the program manager for the Geyser program from SFA, Dr. Fatou Badian, to also give us some comments.
So I will start. Good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. Want to also acknowledge my distinguished colleagues, as well as the leadership of WACCBIP and the University of Ghana, all of the friends and collaborators who are here as well of the network. And please allow me to also acknowledge the formalities that were presented before me by the other speakers. So I'm briefly just going to give an overview of the work that we have done with the Science for Africa Foundation and what brings us here today. We have done a lot of very nice work with WACCBIP, and we're just really excited to continue with the different programs and collaborations that we have in the work that we are doing here, as well as throughout Africa. So as mentioned before, my name is Fatou Badian, and I'm a program manager for the Science for Africa Foundation, working with Grand Challenges Africa. The Science for Africa Foundation is a Pan-African nonprofit public charitable organization, and we work to strengthen, promote, and support science and innovation across Africa. Our mission is to really catalyze and strengthen Africa's science and innovation ecosystems to respond to the challenges that we see across the continent and to impact lives in a positive way. Okay, stop, that's okay. So our main areas of focus with the Science for Africa Foundation are within health, climate and environment, as well as agriculture. We also work across the research landscape, focusing on work across discovery sciences, translational sciences, and implementation sciences. And so for today, I'm going to just walk you through a couple of, two actually, of our different initiatives and programs that we have to show you some of the impact that we have across Africa. Our strategic objectives include various different models that we have of creating impact in our work. But the two that I'm going to focus on today are how we support the creation of science-driven products, meaning that we're looking at the entire research pipeline from discovery to scaling and implementation to respond to the challenges within African communities, and also how we establish strategic partnerships and networks that contribute to the growth and salience of science and innovation across Africa. So two of the main programs that I'm going to focus on today are Learn and Cite. And Learn is our program which focuses on the development of African leadership across the continent. And this focuses on leadership across numerous different areas within the sciences, looking at anything from malaria to infectious pathogens to non-communicable diseases as well. And and as well as policy and advocacy and public engagement. And under what we call the Learn R&D Consortium, or the Leadership for African Research Networks, is where we house our Deltas Africa Phase 1 and Phase 2 programs, which I will go into more. And WACCBIP is one of the centers as well that is featured as part of Deltas, which we are very proud of. SITE is the second program, which I will also briefly give an overview of today, and that is our Science, Innovation, Translation, and Entrepreneurship program, and this supports innovators and innovation across the continent. We work to create a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, as well as support the science innovation and the science innovation ecosystem across Africa. And this is where our Grand Challenges Africa initiative sits, and again, that also covers a range of different focus areas, from drug discovery to responses to COVID-19, which is where Geyser falls in, as well as some of our other cohorts, and also looking at antimicrobial resistance and even women's health and reproductive health. So with the Deltas Consortium, this is based on what we call a hub and spoke model, where we pair very well-resourced institutions with institutions that are slightly less resourced across the continent to provide mentorship, to provide training, and to provide support amongst various research areas. We have Delta sites from Phase 1 that are located across Africa. I don't know if everyone can see my slides, but literally going from all corners of the continent, including WACCBIP, so looking at West, South, and East Africa as well. And with these consortia, we're able to build capacity across the continent in many, many different areas. And this has been a very successful program that we are really proud to host at the Science for Africa Foundation. We've now started Phase 2 of the Deltas program as well, which is going to grow that model and include additional institutions, and also at this stage focus on looking at advocacy and science policy. So the Phase 2 of the program, which started about 2 years ago in 2023, as I mentioned, also included additional institutions and increases its impact across the continent. The second program that I'm going to discuss with you is Grand Challenges Africa. And this falls under our focus on entrepreneurship as well as innovation within the science ecosystem. So for this program, we are focusing on promoting African-led scientific innovations through CDUP and SCALE grants. So CDUP grants providing support for the initial discovery stages within science, and then transition to scale and scaling grants, which will then provide support for really bold and impactful ideas which have the potential to scale outside of the lab. So thinking of either different methodologies, different therapeutics, or even different diagnostics that can come out of those initial investments from seed grants. So again, just mentioning that this covers the entire innovation scale, looking at from basic technology to really system operation. And when we are choosing the different areas of focus for Grand Challenges Africa, we're looking not only at scientific and technical excellence and innovation, as well as impact for scaling, but also bold ideas that will have a big impact, will have sustainability, and then will also have added value for additional investors and partners that we're bringing along in this work. So one example that I'm going to give from Grand Challenges Africa, as we look across our different focus areas, which are in maternal, neonatal, and child health, as I mentioned previously, also data sciences and drug discovery, and even antimicrobial resistance. So really focusing on many different topics. And one of the cohorts that we manage as part of Grand Challenges Africa is Geyser, which was mentioned previously, the Global Immunology and Immune Sequencing for Epidemic Response Program. And this cohort is a partnership between geographically distinct sites across South America, Africa, and Asia. So looking at Brazil, Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, Uganda, and India. And all of these projects are currently now focusing on different emerging infectious areas. So looking at Brazil, Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, Uganda, and India. And all of these projects are currently now focusing on different emerging infectious areas.